A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John, chapter 13, verses 1 to 15. Passage taken from the Message version of the Bible. Just before the Passover feast, Jesus knew that the time had come to leave this world to go to the Father. Having loved his dear companions, he continued to love them right to the end. It was supper time. The devil by now had Judas, son of Simon of Iscariot, firmly in his grip, all set for the betrayal. Jesus knew that the Father had put him in complete charge of everything, that he came from God and was on his way back to God. So he got up from the supper table, set aside his robe, and put on an apron. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the feet of the disciples, drying them with his apron. When he got to Simon Peter, Peter said, "Master, you wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You don't understand now what I'm doing, but it will be clear enough to you later." Peter persisted, "You're not going to wash my feet, ever." Jesus said, "If I don't wash you, you can't be part of what I'm doing." "Master," said Peter, "not only my feet then. Wash my hands. Wash my head." Jesus said, "If you've had a bath in the morning, you only need your feet washed now, and you're clean from the head to toe. My concern, you understand, is holiness, not hygiene. So now you're clean, but not every one of you." He knew who was betraying him. That's why he said, "Not every one of you." After he had finished washing their feet, he took his robe, put it back on, and went back to his place at the table. Then he said, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You address me as teacher and master, and rightly so. That is what I am. So if I, the master and the teacher, washed your feet, you must now wash each other's feet. I've laid down a pattern for you. What I've done, you do." The Gospel of the Lord.
Reflections on the Gospel according to John chapter 13 verses 1 to 15. Today we celebrate the feast of the Eucharist and we celebrate the priesthood. Today we also celebrate our vocation to go down on our knees to wash the feet of one another. As you go through the liturgy today, do not forget to pray for your priests. Father Rolheiser gives us a beautiful reflection on the meaning of the Eucharist and foot-washing. We should be on our knees washing each other's feet because that is precisely what Jesus did at the first Eucharist, and he did it to teach us that the Eucharist is not a private act of devotion but an invitation to service. The Eucharist is meant to send us out into the world, ready to give expression to the mercy of Christ, humility of Christ, and his self-sacrifice. Jesus tells us this when he gives us the Eucharist. The Eucharist invites us to receive nourishment from God, fill with gratitude, and to break open our lives to serve the poor in hospitality, humility, and self-donation. Where the other Gospels have Jesus speaking the words of institution, "This is my body, this is my blood, do this in memory of me." John has Jesus washing the feet of his disciples. For John, this gesture replaces the words of institution. It specifies what the Eucharist is in fact meant to do, namely to lead us out of church and into humble service of others. To take the Eucharist seriously is to begin to wash the feet of others, especially the feet of the poor, the feet of your enemies. The Eucharist is both an invitation which invites us and a grace which empowers us to service. And what it invites us to do is to replace distrust with hospitality, pride with humility, and self-interest with self-donation, so as to reverse the world's order of things, wherein the rich gets served by the poor and where the first priority is always to keep one's pride intact and self-interest protected. The Eucharist invites us to step down from pride, move away from self-interest, and to turn the position of privilege into an opportunity for service. It is no accident that for liturgy on Holy Thursday, the feast that marks the institution of the Eucharist, the Church has chosen to use the account of Jesus washing the feet of his disciples. Indeed, nothing better expresses the meaning of the Eucharist. The pandemic, for example, had deprived us of the reception of the Eucharist, but it has taught us to live in the spirit of the Eucharist, the spirit of washing one another's feet, the spirit of service.